Hi, everyone. This is Dan at Dan's Retirement Journey. We're Philippines bound. Going live today. Hope somebody's out there that can join me today. In the meantime, I think I'll get a sip of water here. Hi, Sammy. Hey, understand you're working on the cabinets. Thanks for being here in the background. You're first up today, and you're the only one here. Well, that's good anyway. Thanks so much. Yeah, man, the internet is acting a little bit wacky all over the world, from what I understand. It's freezing, stalling out. I'm not sure exactly what's going on. Maybe the Russians are sabotaging our internet system. It's so easy to blame the Russians for my technical errors. Well, anyway, hey, I'm just kind of happy today because, it was my last day of being in the office yesterday, the last day forever. So, okay, you're hiding. Hey, so you're working on the cabinets, and I think that's a good idea. I hope it's cool over there where you're at. I hope you have some good weather. I heard it's raining over there. Is it raining right now? Thanks so much, Sammy. I appreciate it. I truly do. So, what's it like? What's the weather like? Because I'm here, and it's still coming down. And I thought rainy season was over. No, no, no. I'm not gonna be headed down to the office. I'm taking. They call it comp time off for good behavior. Oh, thanks, Dustin. Hey, I appreciate it, man. Yeah, it's been a very weird 22 years. Well, hey, I just thought it was a good time to go with all the stuff going on everywhere. So, um, and I'm getting kind of up there and wanted to relax a little bit. Head over to the house in the Philippines, enjoy life with my wife. Hey, that rhymes. Enjoy life with my wife. Thanks for coming by. I truly appreciate it. I really do. I'm gonna miss you guys. But hey, don't give me up because I haven't put in my official paperwork. I won't do that until till Friday, most likely. So I appreciate that, man. Oh, it is raining. So you're indoors doing cabinet work, huh, Sammy? Man, you do beautiful work. If I could, I'd bring you over here to the States, and you could do some work for me. Yeah, Sammy says hi, Dustin. Dustin's a coworker, works in the same office as I do. We've been working in the same office for many, many years. Yeah, but is it raining cats and dogs? That's what I want to know. Is it coming down really hard, or is it a light rain? That's what I'm wondering about. Ah, yes, thanks. Appreciate it. I'm going to be meeting I'm going to get some advice from Leo, as a matter of fact. On Tuesday, I'm going to be hooking up with Leo, I think. He's going to give me the how to, go in there, and they're just waiting for the final paperwork. I didn't want to turn anything until I was absolutely sure I wanted to leave. See? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. As you can see, I'm easy to find. So whenever you guys want to head over, we're about 600 miles south, could even be 800 miles south of Pangasinan. So we're pretty far down there, but you're welcome anytime you want. Free room and board. Yes, sir. Yeah, of course, you would like it here in the States, I think, Sammy. I think you'd adapt very well. It's sort of a weird thing, but uh, every year that goes by, the United States is becoming more like the Philippines, and then the Philippines is becoming more like the United States, quite frankly. Hey, Lazy Larry, how's it going, man? I'm glad you're here. I'm so disappointed, that yeah, that the internet failed at Chris and Cebu, because I wanted to get on there and start something, start making some of my strange comments about stuff that's been going on in the world. So, it's real interesting. But every day at this time around 5 p.m., I sit in front of the TV set waiting for Chris and Cebu to come on. So it's sort of weird. He has us all trained, I think. Oh, really? Okay. Well, is she that close though? Is the province that she's from? I'm wondering about that. Kuya Larry is in the house, Sammy. It's like family getting together now. Yeah, don't insult the Philippines. Yes, exactly. You feel me, brother. But hey, you should see the cabinetry work that I don't know if you've seen it that Sammy's putting together. Man, he's got lost there. The skills that Sammy has, you can't find a carpenter here in the States that has the kind of skills that Sammy has. And I was just thinking, while we were building our house over there in Bye Bye City Lake, I was just thinking about how amazed I was. They did that whole job, and including the fancy mold work and all the other stuff, all by hand. I mean, that's amazing. I mean, you have to be a true craftsperson in order to be able to do everything by hand, including the door frames. So we'll be in Bye Bye City Lake. That's a long way from Pangasinan. That's way south of the city of Manila. And Pangasinan would be north of, I think, slightly to the northwest, if I'm not mistaken, of um, Manila. So we're to the southeast of Manila on a different island. But anyway, it's only an hour plane flight away from Manila. So, and I'm more than willing, my wife and I'd be more than willing to meet up with you guys in Pangasinan. I love Pangasinan. Oh, okay, I see. He came back on and was doing a walk around. Yeah, man, I'm telling you, it's amazing. I know that you can find people in the States, in order to do the handwork that Sammy has learned how to do. But man, it's rare. It's kind of rare. I mean, I had a skilled carpenter working on my house before I sold it, but I got to tell you, he was 70 years old. I mean, it showed, and he just about once or twice a day, he would mention how that particular trade is gone. It's lost. He was saying when he goes, he doesn't know anybody that can do what he can do, and so he's the one that built. I need custom door frames built, and he was there with the hand chisel and chiseling everything in. It was beautiful. He did a beautiful job. Oh yeah, I'm telling you. Hey, Sammy, you would not believe the kind of money you'd be able to make here with those skills. I'm telling serious money. I mean, 150, $200 per hour, American money. That's how much you are worth in the States. Oh, you did. You put a bidet in. Yeah. Hey, thing about the bidet is, you can't have the water pressure up too high. That might end up tickling some parts that you don't want tickled if you have the pressure up too high. Yeah, but still, hey, Dustin, anytime, man, just let us know you're coming and we'll meet you anywhere. I love the resort areas of Pangasinan. Oh yeah, sure. We could have some San Miguel light for me these days. But yeah, I'm a lightweight, so that would be perfect. And I'd love to drink San Miguel. And not only that, but I know all the great drinking places in Manila. And then afterwards, we could go to Mall Asia. We could get some El Pollo Loco chicken. They actually have an El Pollo Loco franchise in at the Mall of Asia. It's kind of amazing, and a Taco Bell, believe it or not. Hi, Ruby. What's going on with you? Thanks for joining us today. Hey, I'm seeing some back and forth going on the internet. I'm not sure what all that is about. I hope it all works out, whatever it is, you know. My wife, she cautioned me. She said, "Honey, whatever you do, don't get involved." I said, I started laughing at her. I don't know anything about it, but hey, I believe in you. See, that's the whole thing. So I'm on your side. So I hope I don't get in trouble for saying that. Yeah, exactly. You know, you could start. Well, if you had time, you probably would be in business for yourself, doing all this fancy craft work for your neighbors. It's absolutely amazing. I'm telling you, unbelievable. Hey, Lazy Larry says hi. I bet you Lazy Larry watches your channel. Hello, can we talk today? Oh, hey, there was something. Oh, no live today. Okay. Hey, there was something I wanted to mention about. So, looking at Sammy, how Sammy has the PH at the end of his name, which stands for Philippines. So, hey, I made an observation and a correction, something that I was doing that was turned out to be pretty wrong, you know. And so, but I self-corrected once I discovered that I was doing this. So, you see, when you use PH, you know, on the end on, you know, as like say Manila, comma, Philippines, PH. Okay, don't make the mistake of using PI. PI stands for Philippine Islands. And so it's not the same as PH because PI has a colonial meaning, a historical meaning of the occupation. And so I didn't know this originally. I didn't know this at all. And so I corrected myself when I was going on other people's vlogs, especially their lives. And then on their live stream, I would make a fool of myself by using PI instead of PH. So, no, oh my gosh, I apologize if I offended anybody on that. I felt badly once I discovered it. And so I meant to talk about that tonight and let everybody know that I screwed up. So PI has the, you know, the history is in the occupation, you know. I mean, who no offense, but who didn't occupy the Philippines? I mean, you'll find very, very few countries that they weren't passing through, you know, at some time or another. So so I've mistakenly used PI a lot of times. I messed up, you know, but I discovered the error myself. Nobody said, yeah, no one said to me, hey, don't be an idiot. You know, you know what I mean? Quit using PI. No one said anything to me. I'm thinking that most people don't know that, you know? And so I just wanted to point it out that I knew enough to go into Wiki, you know, or something else. I can't remember. I Googled it and then I discovered that, oh, damn, you're not supposed to be saying PI, you're supposed to be referring it as a PH. That stuff's important to me, you know? It truly is. Yeah, hey, history lesson, you know, something that we come to Dan's live stream and we'll all learn a little bit about history. You know, so I'm a slow learner, as Sammy knows, and he's trying to. He sent me screenshots on how to do live stream. I still don't get it. Well, anyway, I was looking at a tutorial, and I actually was going to try and get the tutorial in until Chris in Cebu, until his internet kind of died. And then I said, oh, I better jump onto and do my live stream for tonight. Oh, thank you so much, Ruby. I can hardly wait until we visit. You and your husband, you are always going to be welcome at our place. Yes, it stands for Philippine Island, but PHI is still the Philippines, right? And so some people would get, Sammy, not you, you're a lover, not a fighter. But some people might be offended, because they know that PI was used a lot during the colonial occupation of the Philippines particularly by the United States. And so that would be not, I think that would be not so respectful of me, to use that reference, So anyway, I learned my lesson on that one. No one pointed out to me. I discovered it myself when I was having a conversation with my QB mate, and then we started talking a little bit more about it. Even he didn't say anything about it until I brought it up, and they said, "Oh yeah." And so you see some of the books about the history of the Philippines, you'll see some references to that inside some of the books. Yeah, no, I know you do. I know you do, Sammy. I figured that especially the old timers, the old timers that are hanging around that would have been, you know, uh, would have had their grandparents or their parents talk about the occupation, by all these folks, the Japanese, the Spanish, the United States, that sort of thing. Yeah, Ruby, like I said, you and your husband, your family, they're always welcome at our place. That's for sure. Go down the highway from Ormoc and then turn left somewhere along there. Yeah, if you turn right, you'll end up in the ocean, as you know. Yeah, a little Philippine joke there. No, not really. All right. Hey, take care, man. I know you'll be there in the background. So if I see my person count go down, I'm going to come looking for you, Sammy. Jessa, where have you been? Huh? Where have you been? Hey, did you get over and get to the house blessing? Did you happen to know that it was going on? I apologize. I should have actually invited everybody that lived in Bye Lake or close by to the house blessing. Of course, I was doing it virtually, which was a pretty cool experience in of itself. If you can imagine, showing a live stream of the house blessing actually going on, and then having the Papa go from room to room to room doing the blessing and everything. It was a fantastic thing. But anyway, what we're going to do is we'll have everybody that comes to this live stream, once Minnie and I get to the Philippines, you guys are all going to be invited over to the house. We'll get lechon, of course, and San Miguel Lai. San Miguel Lai, and we'll also get some tuba. Yes, sir. We'll have everybody over and have a big party. Salamat. Thank you. Dagan salamat. Okay, so my wife says that I better get on my game and start learning Visayan, because she says when you go over there, the people will appreciate you learning the language. It's important. They'll be proud of me, she said. So in the meantime, I'll start with the small words, Absolutely. I'll be there. I'll be there because I aim to support the YouTube community. It's very important to me. It's going to become my life dream. Well, Sammy, he's going, but he isn't going to go far. He's going to be in the background. He's going to be, probably if you listen, Rubilicious Ruby, he's going to be out there and he's going to be, sawing, getting the wood prepared. He's going to be nailing and doing the things that he needs to do. You'll hear him in the background probably. Hey, Rubylicious says hi. Aren't we all brothers and sisters under the skin, no matter where we live? That's the important thing to remember. Hey, by the way, in Bye Bye City, I hear that there's a family there that has my family name. Is it true? Is it true? I hear that there's either Herrero or Herrera living in Bye Bye City, Leyte. So you see, we've been there, That family name is all over the world. Eddie, nice to see you. Eddie says, hi, everyone. Hope all is well with you and your families. And I was just telling everybody that we're in good shape. And Ruby's from Leyte. We're all family, We're all family. Larry is like a brother to me. Larry, he's a really, really good guy. And if you go on some of the other live streams that I've seen Larry on, one of the most compassionate guys that I know, comes through by some of the comments that he makes on the live streams. Uh-oh. You're using the boom, 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 boom. Are you using a boom, boom box? We call it a boom box here in the States. Hey, Eddie. Sammy says hello. Annie says hello to Jess and Ruby. Hi. And Ruby's still hanging with us. So let's see. What else was I going to talk about today? Oh. I know. Let's see. I got this. I don't know if this is coming in right side up or upside down, or if it reverses everything, or if you're able to read it. But right here it says, this is where I get the weekend news here. This is the Asian Journal, and there's an article in here. It's from Helen Flores. That's how we would pronounce it. It's Flores. And it says pH. Look at this. I'm going to show you right here. Right here. Can you see it? Oh, that's talking about Manny. I had my finger coming to the pH. pH tourist arrivals hit 25,000 since reopening. And so that's a sign that the Philippines economically is going to come back. It's going to come back in a hurry. It says here that almost 25,000 foreign and Filipino tourists have arrived in the country since it opened its borders to international leisure travelers earlier this month. And so, they're off to a fast start in the Philippines. If you watch some of the other video live streams, like I was just watching Geo in the Philippines, people are just like asking all kind of questions about, things like accommodation and visas and how you get money over there and all this other stuff. Oh, the money thing. Yeah, I know I've talked about this before, but I'll be doing very detailed videos on how I'm going to work the money part, how I'm going to transfer money from the U.S. bank over to the Philippines. By the way, I know to Filipinos that this will sound a little bit strange, but for Eddie and for Larry and for some of the others, you guys will know how important this is. So I got my first Social Security check. My first Social Security check hit the bank on Friday. I think they called me on Thursday. And the guy says, okay, you can take it now or you can take it later. But I started thinking, the difference in the amount of money, the size of the check wasn't that great. So I decided to go ahead and say, yeah, I didn't know that you'd be calling me, and said, yeah, you can this week you can make the choice of either taking it now or taking it when you want to, when you officially turn age 65. But I started thinking about it. I go, I might as well take it now because it'll make the transition from working life to retirement life a lot smoother. And so the very next day when I woke up, it had already hit my bank account, that check. So that's something that, for people who live in the Philippines, that's something we pay into. And then at Ruby, you probably know about this, yeah, because of your husband. And then after you turn retirement age, or you can start collecting it earlier at age 62, then they start paying you back the money that you paid in. That's more or less the way that it works. Okay, Eddie says, now that you mentioned last names, my last name is also in the Philippines. My name is from Mexico, but its origin is from Spain. And yes, and mine also. Hey, like I said, we're brothers and sisters under the skin here. And so it's important to note that I think the Philippines is a lot closer than Mexico, and it has such Mexico has such an interesting history that people from all over the world ended up there. But generally, when people left Spain, they ended up going all over the world. And one of the places apparently they ended up, especially when Magellan and everybody went there, was in the Philippines. Hello, Lazy Larry. You're a popular guy. Oh, there you go. Priscilla, the last name of my grandfather. Yeah, and so is Mexico. And I wonder, so me being a little bit short on that history, don't know, it would seem to me that moving from east to west, or the other way, west to east, I'm curious as to whether they were in the Philippines first and then they came to Mexico, or were they in Mexico first and then migrated to the Philippines, or however it happened. Oh, she said, yes, sir, dance. True. Take the money and run. And that's exactly right. The difference in waiting was $25 per month. So if you think about it, it seems like a lot of money, because you're talking what, $300 per year, something like that. My math is lousy today. So, but for what I'm getting in monthly payment, from SSA, it would have taken several years in order to get that money back. Oh, so that's interesting, Lazy Larry says that his last name is Lee in English, and although the Koreans spell it the same way. And so that can be confusing, because you're looking at a letter that says Mr. Lee. Oh, yeah. There's that Korean guy making trouble for us again. No, it's me, Lazy Larry. A little Korean joke there. Hey, listen. The wife and I, when we leave this apartment, when the lease is up pretty soon, we're going to be traveling around a little bit. And one of the things we're going to be doing, most likely, is we're going to head down to We're going to head down to Baja, and we're going to spend, I don't know, I want to spend a month there. I'm thinking, may not be a month or two, it may end up being a couple of weeks. But I want to go down there and just, put my feet in the white sandy beach one last time. Well, anyway, may not be one last time, but it'll be a while before I get down there again. So we're thinking about, since we live in Sacramento, which is about 800 miles from, or a little bit further even from Baja, we might take the Amtrak down all the way. I was thinking that would be a fun trip to make. Rubylicious says, true, Sir Sammy. So if you're still listening, she agrees with you. Oh, my partner gets his money through USSC. Okay, so here's the thing that I found out, right, that may be of interest to some of you, especially if you already have a Fidelity account, like an IRA or a 401k or 457k and all these different number programs they got going on. What I found out is Fidelity works just like Schwab, and that if you open up an account, right, which my retirement account is there, but you have to open up an equities account or an investment account that's tied to their checking account, or it's like a bank checking account, but there's no fees. And just like Charles Schwab, they reimburse you, the fees, ATM fees or whatever, at the end of the month, at the end of the billing cycle. They will refund the fees that you paid overseas. And I think I read somewhere they give you 2 ATM cards or 2 debit cards or 2 checking cards, whatever you want to call them, right? One to use and one to lose. And that is brilliant. So now here's the thing. My wife and I will be keeping 2 accounts separate and then 1 joint. And so I'm putting as many fail safes in there as I possibly can to make sure that, the money, we're going to keep the banks here in the States, and to make sure that we're able to get money when we need it from the US over to the Philippines. So I'll be doing a video on that and posting them on YouTube along the way to show you the details of each step that I'm doing. It doesn't matter if you have 5, 6, 8, or 10 different ways of doing it. Weiss Investments, Schwab, Fidelity, your own bank, the little gift cards that you buy, the MasterCard gift cards you buy at the department store. I'm going to find out if you can load those up with money and take them over there. Folks, people make a big deal about fees that you pay for all these transactions. But I got to tell you, the first time you get stuck in the Philippines without money in your hand, without cash, is the time you start thinking about, you don't care what kind of fees you have to pay in order to get the money there, just so long as it's there. So you have to have layers of fail-safe methods to move money over there to the Philippines. Okay, so I think Ruby was saying that it's direct deposited from Social Security, and they can do that. They can drop it into your bank. There's certain banks that they've approved that they'll direct deposit to. Very convenient. Every month it's there like clockwork. Bing, 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 bing. Rubylicious. Ha ha ha. Thank you, Sir Sammy. You guys must be, are you guys messaging on the messenger? Hey, what else was I going to say about that? Anyway, it's all good. We'll figure it all out. And, I don't like the idea of carrying a bunch of cash around. I know that my wife and I in the past, we have brought loads of money with us, stuffed in our underwear and pockets underneath our shorts and all this other crap. But I'm not sure about that methodology. I think we're prudent by figuring out a way to get cash over to the Philippines, at least to cover the first year of living expenses. And that is most likely what we'll do. Sammy says, you're welcome, Ruby. Ruby says, I thought you were a man, sis. Okay. See you after a while, Sammy. Get those cabinets made. Yeah, everybody's in the background apparently. I'll have to speak louder. Like, hey, this is like live radio. I got the microphone right here for live radio. I got the face for live radio too. So anyway, what was I talking about? Okay, yeah. So I think it's important to do all this stuff to get as many fail-safe ways of getting money over to the Philippines that you can possibly think about, and have some backup plan. And then here in the States, I'll be depending upon my son, who has already agreed to do it in case cards show up missing. He can fetch them and then go ahead and mail them in the express mail. DHL, I think, is a good way of doing it. DHL flies into the major airports, and then I don't know how mail makes its way around the Philippines, but I know that with DHL and with FedEx, you can pick it up from their. You can will call it at one of their airport sites. They allow you to do it, as far as I understand, or they did last time, because when many years ago, when Minnie and I were, sending documents back and forth, we used that system. We used DHL, and then boom, they would either a courier would either pick the documents up at the airport and then take them to where she was, or she was able to pick up documents at the airport if she needed them. Oh, you can direct send your money in your own name. Yeah, and so people have said, oh, if you're setting things up to use the ATM machines frequently, then I'll be sorely disappointed. No, I'll just send the wife to fetch money. Isn't that how it works? Rubylicious in the Philippines, who ends up paying the bills in the Philippines when it's time to pay the bills? Does your partner, does FL Woods, does he say, oh, Ruby, can you go down and pay the cable bill for me? And then he's sitting at home watching YouTube while you're down the street getting money out of the ATM, or paying the gas bill or the electric bill. Ah, there you go. There you go. There's FL Woods. How's it going, sir? Hey, do you send Ruby on the tasks to manage the bill paying and stuff like that? That's what I was kind of curious about. Because I'm kind of like, okay, so there's been a lot of talk about Filipino culture and stuff like that, and how expats have been known to go over to the Philippines and then start, getting a little excited when they have to spend more than 15 minutes in line. I think that's amusing, but I could totally picture myself doing it. The first time I had to spend, 15 minutes in some outdoor line in front of the ATM machine in 100-degree weather, I probably won't enjoy it too much. I doubt that I would yell and curse at anybody, though. I don't think I'm that kind of guy, but you never know. They say the Philippines changes people in a lot of different ways. Yeah, you brought that up. And so my wife has the Wells Fargo account. But what I'm thinking about is, okay, when she stops working and the direct deposits stop into her account, then they're going to start charging her that monthly fee, and the monthly fee keeps going up. So I know we intend to go over to Wells Fargo and have a little conversation, with them about that, to see how it all works. And I'm not sure where BDO is in Bye Bye Leyte. I think there is one. I think it's in Ormoc. I'm not sure, but I'm not sure that they have a branch close by where we're going to be living. So we're going to be, I think Ormoc, 45 minutes away, is probably the closest branch of BDO. So I started thinking about that. I started thinking about the monthly fees, and I won't be charged any in our joint account over there at Citibank. I'm headed over there to talk to them this next week coming up about how to transfer money to the Philippines. It used to be easy, because they had branches in Cebu City and Makati, or let's see, was it Makati or they had branches. Maybe it was in the Greenbelt. I don't remember, but I know there was one in Manila, one in Cebu, and even one off Sukhumvit Road in Thailand that I've used before. So the whole idea was, oh man, this is going to be a piece of cake. No, they decided to close down all their foreign branches, right? Yeah. Yeah. So they closed down the foreign branches, and then all of a sudden I had to come up with some more plans, But she makes me go, she makes you go out and pay the bills. Smart woman. Very, very smart. I knew that. She's very articulate when I've seen her in her live streams. So, yeah. So, I don't think that's going to be me. I just don't, FL. I just don't think that's going to be me. I'm okay with paying them, like doling out the cash, but I don't think I want to stand in line. But you can share your experience. Maybe it's not as bad as I've been led to believe, because after all, I've never done it before. Internet, electricity, and cable can be paid at 7-Eleven kiosks. Oh, if they have an internet connection, there lies the problem. Hey, so FL Woods, maybe you can tell me. I don't. So when Odette hit, it knocked out the internet just about everywhere. But in Bye Bye, they got the high speed internet up in just like a couple of weeks, really fast. And they got high speed cable over there. I don't know how. I don't know. I don't know about you, what situation you're in, but in Bye Bye, that thing is like the download and upload speed is incredible. And the brother-in-law, Jill, was telling me that that's because no one's on that particular service that we got. It's brand new. I don't know. I know they came in, they put all kind of equipment in, a satellite and all this other stuff. It looks just about as high tech in Bye Bye City as it is here in the States. I was very impressed. The issue with banks, especially with pandemic, has been sitting in a line for an hour just to make a deposit or a payment. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. It seems like that Filipinos are used to doing that because that's part of the culture, And so I very rarely hear anybody complaining about that. But you put an American in that situation, and you have to be very, very patient. And so I noticed that there are a lot of vlogs on YouTube that talk about that sort of thing. That, even to the point where I think that one or two have said, don't come here if you have a type A personality profile. I've been known, to go bipolar once in a while in a situation, So, I mean, I was thinking that, as long as there's somebody willing to do it on my behalf, then, for me, I'd be thrilled with that idea. Oh, it's store to store. I see. The issue with 7-Eleven connection is store to store. Yeah, and so the other thing that keeps coming up, aside from the bill paying part, is something that you might also be familiar with. Oh, I see. They have 30 chairs. I haven't been in the bank lobby in the Philippines in a long time. But I do remember when I walked into that Citibank in Cebu, I walked straight out. Everything looks just like it does in America, in an American Citibank, right? Except for the chairs. And all the people staring at me when they see the foreigner come walking in there. Of course, in Cebu City and in Makati, gosh, I can't remember if it's actually Makati or BGC or can't remember where that other Citibank is. I'm not sure it's in the global city because Bank of America owns that. Would they allow Citibank in there? I'm not sure. But anyway, yeah. Yes, there you go. And so, you're giving me an idea. So I had mentioned a couple of times, yeah, I think that's doable. I think that's doable. I think that you need somebody that you trust to help you out with those things. Oh, okay. We can pay mom's internet. Eddie says we can pay mom's internet and Morelco Electric online from BDO account from the U.S. That is amazing. That is beautiful. I like hearing that, Eddie. The more I like, um, the more I mean, I really, really am going to have to give that some thought. I think what it's going to come down to is, and I've heard people talk about how great BDO is online. The online is just like equivalent to any U.S. bank, and so I'm going to have to give that some consideration. In the beginning, I will be moving money a different way, but I think that once we get bank, we'll have to go down to BDO, and we'll have to figure out how difficult it would be in order to get an account open. I don't think it'll be difficult at all for my wife, since she's a U.S. citizen now, naturalized, but she's also a Filipina, born and raised there, and so I think that they still consider natural born Filipinas as being citizens or countrymen, right? So they will open up an account for her so long as she's able to give them all the documents they need. BPI also has bill pay online. All right, now, so there's a Philippine bank in Los Angeles, and there's Metro Bank in New York. I think it's BPI that's in LA. And so one of the ideas that we have tossed around, and this definitely would be in the lineup, is going over to LA and opening up the bank account there for ease of transfer to the Philippines. I don't even know if that's necessary, but people have told me that they've done it. They've gone down to LA. We're going to be down there anyway, visiting my mom in a few weeks, and it's not too far where my mom lives. I mean, it's only about a 30-minute or so train ride downtown, and it's on one of the high floors of one of the buildings in the financial district in LA, and we'll find it, and we'll see if we can open up an account there. Yeah, I believe it's BPI. I have to double check it. So there's only 2 Filipino banks that are licensed to do business in the United States that have an actual retail location. The rest of them are remittance centers, like in Las Vegas, where they have a really high Filipino population. They have a remittance center. Just about every bank is represented there. But in New York, it's Metro Bank of the Philippines, I believe. And in LA, I don't think it's BPO. I think it's BPI that has the bank. But I will double check that. And once I get that information, I will share it with everyone. Okay, so now the next topic that maybe you guys can give me some advice on is it has to do with driving. Dan just looked up Bank of America is located in Makati. Yeah, and the reason why Bank of America is there is because they finance the global city. They finance. Ladies, if you go to Makati or BGO or the global city, any of those areas, you're gonna and you've been to LA. There's one thing that's going to become very clear almost immediately, and that is that it looks like the financial district of downtown LA. And so once I saw that on one of my journeys, I realized that the financing and the design had to have come from an American Western bank. And sure enough, I did research, and it was Bank of America. And so Bank of America, and so they know if you're trying to attract money to an area, big money internationally, rich Filipino families and the like, and offer commercial financing, all that other stuff, you've got to make it attractive for them to come into your bank, so they created, the environment necessary in order to attract the money. It's a very interesting story. You probably can find a lot of information on that by Googling it. Okay, just having direct deposit to a U.S. bank is sending it to USSC. A $10 fee for $1,000 is okay with me. Transfer and then pick up within seconds. Your mileage will vary. I never will ever use ATMs in Philippines again. Okay, so you're giving me a really, really uh, good information, both you and Eddie, man. I really, truly appreciate it. I mean, for crying out loud, I don't want to have to rely upon using the ATM. I probably will shop at stores that, will take a card, and I probably will, do it the way that you're doing it. And so I'm gonna $10 for per 1,000 is very, very reasonable. It's not anything that I would have a problem with. The problem is when you run out of money and you're in the Philippines, you pay $100 per thousand. I mean, you pay whatever you needed to in a fee in order to get money there to the Philippines if you didn't have it. That's a fact. You wouldn't be complaining. They're terrible, but always waiting in line at the bank, I'm not sure is any better. At least no fees. So, well, here's the thing. Like I said, you have to layer this by, I think, the level of importance to you, how it works in your own life. And then you have to have the fail-safe methods already in place for moving the money around. And so I think you have to create many, many different environments, especially, well, Minnie and I are still here in the States. We got the VPN going. We got the VPN router ordered. We've got all the hardware and software loaded up here in the States, so that when we use the VPN overseas, they'll be able to see that, they'll be able to recognize this IP address. I don't know if any of that makes any sense, but I want hassle-free living in the Philippines. I want things to go smooth sailing and not run into too many roadblocks. I know people have laughed when I've said that. The best laid plans. Yes, go to Western Union Online, send money, and pick up instantly, is what FL would say. $1,000, $10. Yeah, I hate fees too. But if you need it, if you're, like you said, Eddie, if you need it and you're desperate, you got to pay the fee no matter what it costs. And so the idea, though, is have someone here that you trust that's willing to do the legwork for you. But I'll tell you, even though my son has said the words, "Oh, Dad, don't worry about it. I'll take care of it. You don't have to pay me any money." Well, I'm like, "Oh yeah." The first couple of times something happens, it's okay. But then the third time, right? Your kid's going down to the bank. Oh my goodness gracious, what the hell has gone wrong now? And then they start questioning, whether they did the right thing by saying they would take care of it. You have to incentivize it some kind of way, so that they would be willing, your family would be willing to take care of business for you. This is the other problem that I've heard has happened, and so I'm glad you kind of brought it up. I almost said something a couple of sentences ago about this. I am hearing stories, about money that disappears, and so it took 2 years and a trip for us to remedy it. But now, did it disappear from your U.S. bank, or did it disappear from your Filipino bank? That's what I'm curious about. It can happen either or, from a U.S. bank, from a Filipino bank, from some other international bank. I know it happens. I've heard people tell me that this has happened a couple of times to them. But anyway, as I was saying earlier, I got my first Social Security check auto deposited, direct deposited into my account. Everything went very, very smoothly. I talked to the representative, the agent, one day, and then the next day, boom, the money was in the account. He called me and said, "Dan, you're ready to go. Don't need any other information. Application is ready to go. You just need to say when. If it's now, it's this much money. If it's 2 months from now, it's this much money. What do you want to do?" Yeah. I said, "Push the send button." And apparently he did, because the next morning there's my money in the bank. And this is important too. I realize how important this is, because it makes a very smooth transition. And I most likely I'm not going to have access to my pension, or my pension won't start being direct deposited for about 2 months. They told me to expect a 2 month delay because everybody is leaving the workplace right now. They got hundreds, not 10 or 20, hundreds of people leaving the place that I work because they're retiring or they're moving to other jobs, and they're taking their money with them. They're bogged down. Eddie, FL Woods wants to know what account, what bank. Yeah, do tell. We'll avoid them like hell. Also, another vlogger caught my attention. It was Marker 44, who started talking about them double charging him for his annual insurance premium, or his for his homeowner's insurance. It took quite a few months for them to sort all that out. But they were here in the States paying their mortgage on their house in the Philippines. I knew, Minnie and I talked about this. We kind of knew in the beginning. I tried to tell her we should buy a house that's already built, in a subdivision in Bye City or Ormo, and then just get a mortgage. It's un-American not to. And she just turned white as a sheet. I mean, if you know Filipinas, what is it? Overstay Road says they're like a parrot, when they talk about building a house and lot, house and lot, house and lot. I laughed at that. But listen, I'm glad that we cash flowed that house. I'm glad that we were able to, I tell people, I mean, people were mean when in the beginning when they started talking about, the wife and I were building a house in the Philippines. How they got the idea that I was paying for the majority of the home being built, I have no idea. You see, that's a gender thing. That's a gender assumption that you should not make. My wife, she worked her butt off saving money so we could cash out that house. It was only towards the tail end, when construction costs started to go a little bit out of control, and I realized that, oh Nelly, I'm gonna have to pony up some money here and get some out of the account. People were being mean and said, your wife's gonna divorce you, she's gonna leave you, you're a sucker, you're just one. I was like laughing. I was going, hey, if she leaves me after 16 years, well, she built one hell of a nice house for herself, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think this is going to be one of them stories where people just live happily ever after. Oh, so boring. Oh, but that can never happen in the Philippines. But why? Because the wife married you for your money. Oh, man. I did hear some popular Philippine banks where the money has disappeared. Horror stories. Yeah, I think Marker 44, it wasn't exactly a horror story. It was that they just went in there and they grabbed the premium payment for the insurance, and turned out that somebody had already done it, and it was his wife. Listen, every Filipino should be handling the money, in my estimation. They're very good at it. And the wife noticed it and then said, hey, someone took our money. And they went on a mission impossible to get the money back. And it took several months, but they finally credited it back to their account. Of course, I wonder what would happen if they would have pressured them for interest on that money. They'd get the same answer they do here in the States. We don't hear you. We got to use your money for free. It was the electronic transfer company that was doing it. Oh my gosh. Can you imagine? They piggybacked a second withdrawal simultaneously. Second transmission, not even showing it in transactions, only in the balance. Man, I'm telling you, you could skim. Listen, you could take 10 cents. Who balances a checkbook or their bank account? Very few people do it. I don't even do it, I don't even do it. And so not to the penny, not to the penny. And they're not teaching kids in school how to do that either. They're saying, as long as you're good to the nearest dollar, you're okay. But the truth of the matter is, if you've got hundreds of accounts, hundreds of thousands, all you have to do is skim a penny every quarter off of everybody's account, and then you'll be rich. It's all a matter of how you do it. A penny people wouldn't notice. And even if they did, they would say, oh, the bank rounded up, no big deal. No one's going to go looking for the penny. Regions Bank, US to Metro. Oh, Metro. And BPI ATMs. I see. I'm thinking of having my son in my USA Bank account in case something happens. What do you think? Yeah, so I'm thinking it's okay, but I think that you got to protect yourself some kind of way. There's got to be a way where he can do some of the banking business that doesn't involve your money walking away. So if there is such a thing, so power of attorney probably would do it if you were being very specific about what transactions he can handle. So I mean, it's going to be up to you, but you have to trust someone. That's what I've been trying to explain also to my wife, is you have to trust somebody. Somebody has to be the point of contact on those bank account and to handle other stuff, that might come up. Last time at a Metro Bank, I tried to get $200 instead of cash. The window went back to welcome to Metro, no cash, no receipt. My access in the US was on my account and watched the withdrawal post. Holy smokes. You see, I think that happened to me once. I put the card in and then all of a sudden it glitched. And I got the card back, right? But I didn't know if the transaction had posted. And then I came back to the States and then I saw that the transaction had posted and canceled out simultaneously. So I don't know what happened. There was a glitch in the ATM machine. But I think if you're near a big city, you want to do your business in probably a mall where you have a well-known bank or money exchange. And I think that Lazy Larry had brought up that there's a Bank of America in Makati, but I'm not sure how many branches Bank of America has, in Southeast Asia or the Philippines. They may have 2 branches, but I don't know if they're retail branches or they're commercial. And if they're commercial and not retail, do they have ATM machines that you can access? All that stuff has to be checked out. Somebody here will know, though. Somebody in the banks here in the States. Okay, I immediately go to the lobby. Manager demands a receipt. The ATM outside the door is not operated by Metro. He gives me a stamp-sized report form to mail. Oh, wonderful. Wonderful. Yeah, so the system, it has a lot to be, it has a long way to go before it reaches the point where it meets Western standards. But you see, here's the thing. It will eventually meet Western and international standards. It has to, because the Philippines is industrializing so quickly, and that's the thing that you have to keep in mind. All of us that want to move there and establish homes there, I mean, think about this. It's kind of like, the place where we built our house in Bye City is it's a subdivision where not many homes have been built. It doesn't even have an improved street on it yet. The street is not paved. It's a gravel dirt road. And so, but how many years will it take, before it becomes just a regular subdivision with a paved road? Not very long at all. And the reason why is because I happen to know foreigners have bought the land all around us. They're buying it. We have a really small 200 square meter lot, but people are they're buying double lots, in that part of Bye Bye City. And that means they're going to have 400 square meters to play with, which is a lot more room than the lot that Minnie purchased there in the Philippines. I mean, she could afford 200 square meters, so she bought 200 square meters. That's where it was. Oh, Info Experiences is okay. Good place to go. Is that FB? Facebook? A good Facebook to go to for info experiences, Americans in the Philippines. And honestly, I didn't know that existed, so we're going to have to check that out. All right, so what about driving now? The other thing is about driving. Now, so my wife's talking about we need service. Well, service to me is not a motor scooter. That's number one. A motor scooter is going to get you killed in the Philippines if you're not careful. And as a car is going to get you a big bill when somebody runs into you or somebody runs into or you run into them. And so neither one of those scenarios is appealing to me. And so I don't know what I'm going to do, but I just don't like the idea. My wife says where we live, we need service. You need a car. But I remember being able to get around pretty easily on previous trips to Bye Bye City Lake Day and Ormoc and around there. You go there to the transportation center in Ormoc, and it has a sign on the bus that says leaving for Bye Bye City. You jump on that, and then it takes you down there to the transportation center downtown Bye Bye. I mean, what more is there that you need than that? That's for bumper to bumper service from point A to point B. So I don't know. Direct deposit, then Western Union to here, and I've heard other people say that is also the best way. So I believe you got something going on. But hey, I tried to use Western Union on the app, and right away it shut me down. Your information cannot be verified. How do you resolve problems like that when the app tanks on you, and then you have to call and wait hours and hours on the phone? That's the only thing that I worry about with Western Union. Yeah, scooter, no traffic jam. So are you riding a scooter? I mean, hey, I'm okay with riding a scooter, but I don't stop for stray dogs crossing the road or rodents or whatever else crosses my path. If you cross my path, I don't brake. And so what happens then, All right. And you say you just joined. All right. Well, we're going to have to jump in there. We're going to have to read about this. We're going to have to go in there and see what they say. Yeah. Cars, I really don't want the liability of a car, but I have a feeling that I'm not going to win this argument. That if you built a house, you have to have a car to go with it. I don't know. I'm not sure. My scooter or mountain bike, but aren't you kind of taking your life in your own hands too with a mountain bike? I mean, a scooter might be powerful enough for you to get out of trouble once you get into trouble, but what about a mountain bike? I mean, last time I was there, I didn't see any bike lanes. It's not like living here in California where you have to give, here bikes rule the road. If you're riding a bike, you have to give 3 feet distance between you and the rider. If you don't, you can get a ticket for that. And now they're pushing for not having to stop at red lights, and they're making headway. They have their own lobbyists in Sacramento. Well, there's the thing. She doesn't drive here, Lazy Larry. I told her, I said, okay, go to the Philippines and take the driving courses. Go to the Bond School of Driving, and then pass the test, and then we'll see how it goes. with my wife driving, I'm not sure that I would be a passenger in a car in which my wife is driving. Oh, most accident scooters from older people with not so good reaction time as we get older. Yeah. Well, I saw, I see people in Bye Bye City, for example, on a friend's Facebook page. They posted where two very, very well known husband and wife vendor team were killed when a van or a bus tried to overtake them. And they just ran right over them and killed them. I mean, it's sad. I don't want to be that person that has an early demise because I didn't react quick enough. Get out of the way of an accident getting ready to happen. Yeah, there are no observed lanes outside. Yeah, that's right. But hey, but in that highway from Bye Bye City to Ormoc or Ormoc to Bye Bye City, in fact, all the way down the coast, right? It doesn't go all the way to southern Leyte. That is they expanded it, right? And now isn't that like a 4-lane highway now? It went from a 2-lane to a very modern 4-lane highway, I believe. Okay, so you're going to go ahead and get an SUV for the family and a scooter for short distance. Well, everybody in the Philippines seems like they're riding around in a big tanker truck, a big SUV. So I suppose that if I decide that, to get a vehicle, that it's probably going to have to be something that could take a hit, just in case. You know what I mean? You got to be able to survive it. Oh yeah, 25 years of over the road driving taught me how to drive here. You have to drive and anticipate every driver here. Yeah, I've seen it on YouTube, how people enter traffic and don't look behind them, and then, I'm sure that most accidents are avoidable in the States, but not necessarily true in some parts of the Philippines. You're safer if traffic is heavier, like in a city. I could drive in Cebu or Manila. I got no problem, right? Because if you're driving and traffic is bumper to bumper, well then it's not going fast. People aren't coming out of nowhere. They may be coming out of nowhere, but they're driving at a very, very slow speed. And so you're able to have enough time to make a decision on what you need to do. He says, see my wife drive here in the U.S. You wouldn't want to be in the car. I bet. Your eyes closed, First thing you do when you get in there is put the blinders on, the blindfold. Yeah, so that's the other issue that we're going to have to face, is the decision about the car. I don't think the getting a little tiny microbus is going to be prudent. Now I've driven in Thailand, and for some reason, driving around on a scooter in Thailand, I understand, because they have it organized so that you're as long it's power in numbers. So if you're in the big city like Bangkok or you're even in Chiang Mai, you're going to be driving with the crowd, and there's a rhythm to it that you get the hang of. There's a rhythm to it. But hey, in Thailand, it's way different. People actually stop for the stop signs and the red lights. But in the Philippines, they don't have stop signs and red lights. So what are you going to do? In fact, I think I was there in something like 2006 when they put that first 4-way stoplight set up in Ermita. And so I think it was on A Mabini, somewhere in Ermita near Robinson's Mall. Hey, those of you that have been there, you'll remember this, right? Because they had to put traffic officers on each corner of the red lights, right, of the traffic lights, and they were ordered to go out there in the street and make sure the car stopped for the light. After the first week of doing that, right, almost getting killed, they gave up. And the next time, at the end of the week, after they first installed those lights and they were active, you see the traffic. You see the traffic officers. They're just watching the traffic go by, smoking a cigarette, running red lights. Nobody dared interfere. But the last time I was there, a couple of years ago, before the awful pandemic hit us, they were obeying them. They were obeying those traffic lights. So things have changed a little bit. If you go to Bye Bye City, you start seeing pedestrian walkways and stop signs and things like that. I'm looking at them going, man, things are improving. They're kind of improving really fast. Oh, did I miss Eddie's comment? Driving in the U.S. is much different than the Philippines. Much faster in the U.S. Man, these days, people ain't stopping for you. No way. Not only are they not stopping, but they're going to flip you off. They're going to flip you the bird, as they're passing by. Like, why are you in my way? I call this a universal symbol of love. I love you. I love you. I love you. We have e-bike now over here. Yeah, my wife says maybe that's the answer. But you don't like it because it's not fast enough and it's okay for short distance. And plus, if you get the e-bike that's got the basket thing, the passenger thing on there, it's a little bit unstable because I believe I took a look at an e-bike here in the States, and my wife we've had e-bikes before. We like them. But when they started saying they're selling them in the Philippines, that's craziness. I'd rather have just a regular bike that I can pedal. Pedal to the metal will keep you out of trouble. The lights are there, but usually not working well. Enforcers sit in the shade watching. They're smart. They're not going to put their life in danger. They're not putting their life in danger. Stop, Mr. Car, Mr. SUV. No. So I was watching, listen, I know I can't afford a new one. That's another thing. I know I cannot afford a new one. I mean, they're outrageously expensive in the Philippines. They're more expensive than vehicles here in the States are. Yeah, the extra power comes in handy. Yeah, I'm not terrified. That's number one. I'm not terrified of riding it. Like I said, rented one in Thailand, rode it around for a whole week, and I did not kill anybody, and nobody killed me. But had two really close calls where I know that if I hadn't hit those both brakes fast enough, the front and the back, I might have been sliding into home. I might have gotten scratched up. But fortunately, all I got was a look from the guy, that I almost hit, kind of like staring at me like, foreigner. And the cop on the side of the road kind of looking at me, shaking his head. But I had my helmet on. I had all my paperwork, and so I was good to go, But in the Philippines, I understand if you're not squared away properly, they will actually confiscate your scooter, and it's hellish to get it out of impound. But anyway, that's driving and banking. They're on my mind, and so we'll address them by doing I'll do videos on what I decide to do. But I think that I'm at least going to put together 5 fail-safe programs. And I know a couple of you might be thinking that that's an extreme measure. But hey, I'm going to do it because they don't call me Fail-Safe Dan for nothing. Oh, yeah, I believe it. Most trips here, you'll have 2 close calls per mile. Believe me, I understand where you're coming from. I've seen stuff going on there. It just makes me nervous. Even if I'm in a Jeep, even if I'm in a jeepney and it's overtaking somebody on a 2-lane highway. I'll tell you the most terrifying trip that I ever had, right? The most terrifying one was taking the bus from Manila to Baguio City through Pangasinan, and you guys have probably made this trip before and not realize that the bus was all wooden seats. But when we got up there on the hill and I'm looking down there, you could look out the window and you got these two lanes, and then one of them you're kind of overhanging the cliff as you're coming around these corners, praying that nobody is coming around the blind corner back at you. I'm telling you, I don't know how the drivers know, but I'm going to tell you, the first thing you need to do when you're going up to Baguio City is ask how much experience does this bus driver have on this route. If they say, oh, he's new, we just hired him, don't get on that bus. I've seen exact buy used cars in the province, much cheaper. That's where I would look. There's Craigslist and Facebook selling. Yeah, Facebook Marketplace. So that's probably what I'll do. I'm not going to go walking into a car dealership. That's for sure. And we'll be talking about visas also, since you brought the expat word, the expat label. Well, the expat label. So I haven't decided yet if I'm gonna what visa I'll apply for. We're gonna come in on, what's it called, Balik Bayan visa, spouse of a former Filipina. And someone told me, I haven't looked at all this yet, but I will be, and then I'll be presenting it on YouTube. But someone said, okay, if you come in underneath that the spouse of a former Filipina, then you get a 1-year visa. I know I had a friend who was over there for 5 years, and I think he was renewing his visas, his tourist visas. I'm not sure how the whole thing. I'm comfortable with that idea, that you have to go in there and renew visas every, build up first 1 month, then 2 months, and however it goes. I'm not comfortable with the whole fee thing. And so I may try and do and skirt the visa thing by, if it doesn't work out, by either leaving the country every 3 years like everybody else, or applying for that retirement visa number 2, or I don't even know, maybe even getting a student visa so I could extend. I'm not so sure about how I'll have to go see JR and Dumagetti like everybody else to get great advice. Yeah, so I'll be I haven't delved into that because I know it's easy enough to get into the Philippines, and then once I'm there, I could sort everything out. But since I like the idea of going down to Dumagetti, I like that idea of going down to Dumagetti and then doing at least one vlog walking up and down the boardwalk like everybody else. The Bay Walk, I guess they call it, right? Then I could go see JR and pay the fee for the advice, and then figure out how to approach everything. Well, anyway, okay. Well, I'm about burned out, because I didn't get enough sleep last night. Probably it's all the excitement of retirement and getting on our merry way, heading towards Southeast Asia. I know like I said, we're going to be stopping off. We're going to be doing. I've even thought about doing a booze cruise, just to get the hang of. Maybe I don't want to take the Amtrak down to Southern Cal. Maybe there's a different way of getting down to where all the fun is down in Mexico, and then we'll come up to LA, fly out of LAX, and I'm almost sure we're going to try and go to Thailand first, because my wife has been there, but she hasn't seen all the things, that I've seen in Thailand that I'd love for her to see. And yeah, big city is Dumagetti. Yes, yeah, that's not too far. That is far from where you're at. Well, if we get close, then we'll have to hook up, Sammy. That's all there is to it. Yeah, I know. If on other people's vlogs, even the ones that Coach Mavs, some of the video that Coach Mavs feeds to me, that I post up on the YouTube site, you could see a whole bunch of expats already in Bye Bye City. And you know why that is, Sammy. Let's just call it for what it is. People are just looking for an inexpensive place to live that has all the amenities that they need, where they can't afford to live in Cebu City or Manila, or they want a little bit quieter, slower pace of life. That's the reason why Bye Bye City is and Ormoc and that area is so popular. But will it last? That's the key. Will it last forever? I'm not so sure. Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, I hope we do. I hope we are able to hook up in the Philippines. Yeah, well, as a matter of fact, not hope. I know we will. When the time comes, we will do it. And that means whether Minnie and I get on a plane to wherever we need to go in order to meet up with friends. That's for sure. We're going to do it. So I appreciate it. So far, so far so good is all I can say. Things are going well. Yeah, Sammy, I know it would be inconvenient. I know you're something like 2 or 3 hours away from Dumaguete, but it would be worth hooking up. I think that's for sure. Yeah, I definitely want to meet you, and so it would be fun. So no, we're gonna plan on it. We'll be chatting in Messenger. But so here's the thing. Here's what the plan is. So the reason we're not leaving today, quite frankly, is because I have to wait until the finances are all squared away, and everything is hitting that money like the money's hitting the bank like clockwork, and then I'll feel more comfortable. You have to get the money flow down, and then the other thing is I signed a 1-year lease when I sold the house in Sacramento. We signed a 1-year lease on this apartment that isn't up until I think mid-July. So I'm thinking that probably it's going to be when the lease expires that Minnie and I are going to hit the road. And so we'll be working up until that time to get everything packed up and moved before the lease expires on this apartment. I could abandon 2 weeks worth of rent on the apartment, but I'm too cheap to do any more than that, you see. So I think that's kind of the direction that we're going. No problem meeting. We can go to Leyte to visit her family. Absolutely. Beautiful idea. FL Wood, I do soon. I make his cabinets. Yeah. Thumbs up, Sammy. Yes, and okay, you guys. So let's call it a stream. Hey, I think that this stream went okay. I didn't have any technical issues. I did before the stream started. Before the stream started, I had to reboot the computer because it wigged out on me. But it showed when I was doing my test, and then when I restarted my computer, everything was fine. So maybe that's something that StreamYard does. Maybe once in a while it glitches. I'm not sure, but I've been noticing, and other people have been complaining that their live streams and their internet is kind of wacky, and so I'm just wondering if that. I mean, obviously we have stuff going on around the globe, and I know that they threatened interruption of internet service, and so I'm just thinking that maybe they're hacking into the system and causing it to go belly up. Yeah, it was a successful. It was a successful stream. We didn't have any trolls show up, and I'm happy about that. I have noticed them from time to time on other people's stream, and I'm happy about that. I don't mind if trolls take aim at me, but we'll deal with it. Okay, Lazy Larry says, take care, everyone. Stay safe and healthy. Plus, have fun. And I think that's perfect to end the broadcast on. Take care. Peace out. As they say, we'll see you on the next live. Bye-bye or bye-bye. Here it is. Bye-bye. See you next